shot you start out with. Rolling.
Okay. First of all, talk about being here in LA. I know this town's always kind of embraced your music. I know K-Rock was part of that, and kind of a long history of embracing you guys and Smith, Depeche Mode, and guys before that. What's it like being here in town? Have you always kind of felt the love when you come to LA?
Well, I think it takes some getting used to coming here, really. And the guy that
Sounded like a good idea to be out here before.
Yeah. The guy that I live with has got friends here, and he's from California anyway. So it's nice to have people that you know here. I think maybe it could be quite lonely, but usually we're here for work anyway.
Yeah.
So we're doing gigs and there's fans, and it's quite good.
Mm-hmm. First, it's great not only to have Erasure still going strong, but having a lot going on this year. Lots of between a couple of releases and a big tour coming up. What's it like for you guys now to be kind of, in some ways, busier than ever? I would think.
I think it keeps you sane, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's really important. I mean, the more that we do it. I mean, having just finished a record and written a record, it's the next stage is to promote it and do a tour. So it keeps you on your toes, and I think it keeps it exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really pleased that we're going on tour, because it's really like having an extended family, and Vince and I look after each other while we're on tour, and you get fit and get good food and stay in nice hotels.
It's the life of Riley.
Yeah.
Talk about looking after each other and the friendship you guys have, and just how you guys kind of sustain that, and just how much time do you guys spend apart, and when it's busy time, how much fun is it to get back together?
I mean, it's always exciting when you're starting a new project, when you're starting to make a new record, because you just don't know how it's going to turn out, or if you're going to have any ideas at all to write a new song. And so we'll get in a room together with a guitar and a tape recorder, and within an hour and a half or 2 hours or something, we have an idea or a song. And it's just that unpredictability, I think, that keeps it fresh.
Yeah, I'm quite amazed really how it all turned out, because you don't really have much idea when you're doing it, when you're in the studio. And we met up in Portland twice before doing some writing, and we kind of met at the same time every afternoon, like made sure we had about enough material for about 3 songs each time. So I think we had about 20 song ideas. And then when we finished, we had about 13 songs done, and we were trying to think of a running order for the album, and we just thought, let's be brutal and just pull it down to 10 and just have the 10 best ones. And I just felt like, God, you don't really have any idea when you're doing it, do you? What's it going to sound like,
How much is this album reaction to you guys doing the acoustic thing and playing some of your old songs? Was it fun to make it all new and to kind of capture the old sound? Was it kind of that way kind of exciting for you guys to get back to what you guys do?
I think because we had a cover version project, which is other people's songs, and then we did Union Street, which is kind of interpretations of our own material. So we just thought we'd better write some new stuff in case people think that we're dried up, And but because we hadn't written for a while, probably about 3 years. So we were just like really eager to do some writing, and I think we're quite pleased.
We're very pleased.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As you should be. The album's great. When you guys are doing that, you're doing something fresh and new. How conscious are you of the sound and how much it sounds like what you did before? How much you want to push things forward? Is there a conscious effort to try new things when you're in the studio?
I think you're always trying to change things, and the technology is always changing as well. So that helps actually, because then you've got new things to discover. And also we work with a great producer, Gareth Jones, this time round, who we've worked with before, but his strength is pushing you in directions that perhaps you wouldn't have gone, because there's always a danger of you just going through the same cliches and doing kind of what you did on the last record. So it's nice to have somebody else there to say, why not try this? And you're thinking, well, that's too weird or too odd. And then you try it and it kind of works, and it goes from there.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are the kind of artists that were ahead of your time in lots of ways, and everything you guys did as a group and what you've been doing for years with your music. Is that always kind of a battle just to when you see new bands doing stuff that, hey, I did this before, and when you get in the studio you can kind of do that without thinking, but you want to push things forward? Is that kind of thing goes on in your head with every record?
I don't think you really think about it really, what other people are doing. I think I might get more swayed than Vince does because I like to hear new stuff, but I can't name any bands. You know, it's just hearing the music, and because I like dance music as well. You think, oh, that's the latest thing, that's what we should do. But then when I hear Vince's music, like with a fresh perspective, I just think like, oh, it's really, it's really great. And I'm kind of, when I'm in the studio, I can't necessarily hear it when he's doing it. And then when I hear the record, there's all kinds of things that you hear that you didn't hear when you were making it. So.
At the end of the day, is there a goal in mind? Halfway through the record, you see it going a certain way, like this is going to be our whatever record, or this is going to be something. Does that kind of happen when you're done, and you kind of look back at something and say, wow, we put this together?
I think it's a bit strange because all the things that you've done, I think with doing the acoustic record and doing the Aberesque EP years ago, there's all little hints of that going through the music, and you're not really aware of it when you're doing it, are you?
Yeah. I don't think there's any, obviously we want to sell 1 trillion records. That's the main goal, But you can't write a song with that in mind particularly. You have to write a song and go, well, that's quite a good song, or that's a good melody, that's a good set of lyrics. And that moves me in some way. And to achieve that, I think, is actually, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. You guys have written some of probably the catchiest pop songs in the last 20 years. Is that easy for you to do? Do you get in there and think, hey, I can do this, but hey, I want to push ourselves this much farther because the melody part's easy, but I want to push this thematically, I want to tackle this. You have those kind of conversations?
I think, well, we do have little struggles sometimes, I suppose, because when you're writing with the guitar, which is how we write, and sometimes we're singing something and you're singing an idea and think, oh, that's really good, and then when you hear it back you think, oh, it's way too commercial, like really, really pop, and I just go to Vince, oh no, it's too, I just can't cope with it because it's just too much, but then it works out in the end that they're the tracks you don't necessarily use, and you have something in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Talk about this album in terms of, there's always a lot of love songs and songs about love and torturous love and happy love and stuff like that. But there's also more going on in this album as well. You have lots of personal things you're doing with songs about your mom. You can talk about that just thematically, what this album people look forward to.
Well, when we're writing these melodies from scratch, I just use some nonsense words and just make shapes with my mouth. And then it's quite hard to try and match words to the phonetic sounds. And it just so happened on this song that I Want My Mama Back was the shape of these sounds. So, and I was thinking, for a long time, I would love my mum to not drink as much as she does. And I just thought, well, how can I really say something to her? Because people have spoken till they're blue in the face. And I thought, well, just put it in a song. That's kind of maybe a nice way to do it anyway, So we'll wait and see though. She might give me a slap round the head or something,
And the love songs on this record and other records, when you're singing them in the studio, when you're singing them live, how much of that emotion are you feeling every time you're putting your heart into it?
I do really feel it, because to me that's part of singing, is just the kind of yearning. I love fado, the Portuguese, just that kind of singing. And you can become complacent when you've done gig after gig after gig, but I think there's quite a number of our songs that sort of sing themselves. So you just start go. The song starts and it just revs you up, and then we've got quite a few ballads as well that's quite tearful.
Yeah.
No.
There's something about the fans obviously like that part because they like to sing along as well. Talk about your fan base and how it's grown over the years and who you expect to see at the shows now and how things have changed over the years for you fan-wise. You have a pretty fervent following.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, really.
Yeah, we're very lucky. They're I think that they're slightly mad.
Yeah.
And they seem to turn up. You see the same faces at kind of gigs every time. They're very faithful. And what's interesting is the way that everybody's grown up. When people started off coming to our concerts and they were in their teens, now they've got kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's and perhaps they bring their kids along as well. It's really, really, that gives you a really warm feeling, and you know, we'll be eternally grateful to those guys. You know.
Yeah, I think sometimes you're a bit wary of people, you know, because I do some DJing sometimes, and just in small bars and things like that, and you get fans turning up, like the same people over and over again, and you think it's a bit spooky, and then like when you start talking to them, and you realise, oh, they're really sweet, you know, and there's nothing to be frightened of, really.
Talk about how great it is to have that kind of built-in fan base. Does that make a new release that much easier for you guys, knowing you're gonna have a certain following that can go out and buy the record and come to the shows? You kind of count on that group.
I'm not sure what count. I mean, you know, you can't write a song to please the fans either, particularly, you know. But it's always quite interesting to see how they react to a record, and I don't know. I mean, it's sometimes you know, you read reviews that the fans have done of your record, and it's like, I never knew that meant that. You know, they've taken some meaning from the song and that you didn't necessarily intend, and but the way they analyse it and they look at the lyrics and they look at the melody and the changes, or even the gear that I'm using, you know, the kind of equipment I'm using. But you know, it's fantastic. I mean, they're all a bit crazy.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they don't get a bit fed up with it sometimes, because there's so much stuff for them to buy, you know. And sometimes I think, God, how can they afford it? Like buying all these things, and you think, well, they must be like real fans and real collectors, you know. And then sometimes when we've released stuff and it hasn't gone in the charts and things like that, and we have like a box that's got mine and Vince's face on it, that you keep papers in it and something, and it's in like Record Collectors magazine, you know. And I think, well, at least there's that, you know. At least you've got like real like stalwart record collectors, you know.
Well, it kind of speaks to the popularity of you guys and your kind of place in popular culture as well. Do you guys enjoy knowing that no matter what happens now, you've kind of cemented yourselves in kind of a legendary status in terms of what you guys have achieved?
Well, legendary in their own time.
Yeah, leg end we call it. Yeah. I just think it takes a long time. It really takes a long time to build a really strong foundation, and you have to take lots and lots of knocks, which I think we have as well. But just to kind of stand your ground and just keep going, you know, and just keep working on yourself and your music, you know.
So are you confident in what you guys do over the years, where you don't listen to the outside at this point, and you know what you're doing is right in your own?
Well, it's right in your own heart. I think, you know, that's the most important thing. It's like if you write a song and it's emotional in some way, it has some kind of emotional twist, and it twists yourself, and that's all you can ask for, I think.
I think when you look back to your old records, and you think they're really good when you make them and stuff, it's a bit like looking at an old photo album of yourself, and you just think, oh God, look how young I was, you know. And when you're listening to the voice, you think how naive you were when you did it. So, and you always think that the last thing, that's where you're at the moment, and your voice is really mature and everything, you know. But then, I suppose when we do the next one, it'll be
more mature.
Yeah.
Getting older now, is touring harder? Are things more difficult? I know you have health issues. You've been very vocal and talked about. How do you approach it? What's it like now on the road?
Well, I think the only thing is when you're young and you start making music, you think your music's going to change the world and stuff, and you kind of like on this big ego trip and everything. And as you go on, you think like, well, actually, the music's not going to change the world at all, you know, but maybe make a few people happy, you know. And you just go through loads of stuff, and like you have to work it out, and I kind of sometimes I think, well, you know, but think about my health and stuff, and then I think, well, actually, you're 43 years old, so it's not like, and I'm not like going to yoga every day like Madonna, you know. I just kind of like go to the gym when a tour's coming up, and but so you just have to pace yourself, really, like anybody else, you know.
Kids today that listen to your old records and emulate the sound, for lack of another word, or you hear bands today that are doing kind of what you guys were doing a long time ago. Is that flattering? Do you want to run out and say, "Hey, we did this a long time ago"? What's that like?
No, it's always flattering. Yeah. It's always flattering. You know, people should name you as a band that influenced them. It's fantastic.
Well, and say they don't name you, and you hear stuff on the radio that you know you were doing a long time ago, and people today maybe not know that sound's been done before.
Well, there's-
a party that wants to scream
Yeah.
out. And,
It's a phone call to the lawyer, so they sue him.
No, no. I think it's quite sweet, you know. I mean, there's quite a few guitar bands in the UK at the moment, and they're quite sort of punky and everything, you know. And you see them on music programs, and they're all doing it for the first time. It's like as if they invented punk, you know. And but you can't really be cynical about it, because for them it is new and it is fresh. So, you know. And we've just been round the block 3 times or so. No.
Are you guys still in contact with a lot of people that started around the same time as you did, either in England or here? People have scattered and lives have changed over the years, but you guys ever have a chance to kind of meet up and discuss the old days and how you guys are all moving forward?
You don't really discuss the old days, do you?
No, but you're more of a...
Yeah, I mean, I see Boy George sometimes. I went to his fashion show, and he came to see our show in New York. And you know, he's always been really nice to me. We have a laugh and everything. And but we don't talk about music, not at all. Although I loved his last album. And then Claudia Brooken, who I've sang with, and Paul Humphries, who's her husband from OMD. But you just got to go and see gigs, and I mean, I like to go and see a gig as a punter, like Human League or something, and then not go backstage afterwards, and just go home and get the feeling of what the gig's about, you know. Yeah.
What can people expect? And you have some fun dates coming up, and a special tour coming up this summer. What can people expect from Erasure and you can talk about this True Colors tour?
It's like the Golden Girls tour, isn't it?
Yeah. What can they expect, Andy?
I don't know really.
We don't know actually yet.
No.
We haven't actually sorted it out yet. We don't know what songs we're playing or anything.
Yeah, that's why
Well,
we're
you are
here.
joining up with other artists like Cindy Lauper.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be like a sort of a festival, like a mini festival with ourselves. With who else is playing?
Miss Blondie, Miss Harry, Miss Lauper,
Who else?
and the Gossip. Yeah, and
The
Dresden,
Dolls, yeah.
So it's going to be good.
So it's going to be like a real mixed bag of stuff. Hopefully,
No,
I
we're
think
still
it'll
going to be picking up tips.
it's going to be like a festival, festive type atmosphere. Hopefully.
Maybe not as stripped down as the last tour, but not as wild as you guys have been before in terms of production.
Well, I think when you're kind of in the company of such divas, you can't really out diva them, you know. So you have to know your place really, and and I think we've been around enough anyway to get a good feeling. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the Gossip, because I think they're great, really good.
You mentioned that I'm thinking of shows and things in the past. What was kind of the most extravagant moment? If you guys can look back at your career when things were full on, people may think when they think Erasure, they think of everything. If you can look back, was there a certain gig or a certain tour that kind of summed it up for you?
I think jumping out of a hot air balloon on stage in a pair of Calvin Kleins and a white vest and some 6-inch Vivienne Westwood red PVC heels, and then changing for some sparkling ruby slippers and sitting on a bench and singing Over the Rainbow.
That was a moment.
That's quite good.
Do you ever get jealous of all the fun?
Nah.
He does it all in private anyway, so you know.
And lastly, just what this year kind of holds for you guys after the tour. Do you see this as a continuing thing? You guys are going to be writing this stuff on the road. How does that work for you guys in terms of the future?
Well, we haven't really spoken about it, but we did mention last time of writing a song from beginning to end, including all the lyrics.
Yeah, so you know, every time that you write a new album, you know, you try and think of new ways of making it, sparking an idea. So that might be the way that we go forward next time.
Yeah, and I'd like to go to the studio, and get my hands on some synthesizers, but he just won't let me.
He's taking guitar lessons.
He just will not let me.
How much gear do you have?
You don't know.
What's the oldest piece of?
The oldest? Oh, I don't know. There's probably an analog emulator system. Probably. It's all very incredibly boring for your listeners.
Yeah. Do you guys both keep things for the years, the mementos, things from tours, equipment stuff? Do you?
A few things, but you mostly just sell them off, and like for charities and things like that, you know. Although there is a whole pile of clothes in the basement in Spain from the Phantasmagorical tour, which we could do our own parade if we
You
wanted
could
to.
that's probably rotting with a smell. And
Yeah, it
sweat.
probably is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit mildew down there.
We're talking about this old stuff, but how exciting is it to know that on this next tour, the album will have been out for a little while, and people will be singing along to songs that they don't have yet? Is that a great feeling, knowing that people are going to have all this new Erasure music in a few months?
It is a good feeling when you kind of imagine, especially a song like Sunday Girl with the great intro and everything, of like, oh, you could come on stage and that can be your first song, you know. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. You kind of have to change it around a bit. So.
No, I mean, to play the new stuff, I mean, I've been working on the new stuff, preparing it for the tour, and I am really excited about performing it. You know, I think we're going for like a mid-tempo crisis, and this album hopefully will sort that out.
Is there one song you guys will never play again, no matter how many times people scream, or you always kind of give the fans what they want?
Well, I'm kind of keep trying to sneak them in, like Heavenly Action is one song. And there's some songs that we don't really like doing, isn't it? Like, Don't Say Your Love Is Killing Me, or...
Yeah. And is more particular than I am. I mean, I love to play all the singles, you know.
Yeah.
I'll be happy doing that for the rest of my life.
Oh, no,
So.
it doesn't have to be this like that, that song. Yeah.
That was always a struggle.
Yeah, struggle.
And just lastly, for fans that are concerned about you, you look great.
Yep.
Just if you can talk about just how you're doing. And
Well, I do feel great. I mean, you know, it's the only thing is when you're on tour, especially in the winter, and there's a cold going around the crew, it just keeps coming back to me all the time. So I just feel like I should have it written in my contract that if I have flu, I don't have to perform, like Pavarotti or someone like that, because in the end, if you sing on top of a flu, you're gonna be off for 2 weeks. You know, so I just think if you could have that one night off, then you could, you know, then you'd be fine the next night. But it doesn't work that way.
He's very healthy. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the gym.
Sure.
Look at everything. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
very good. Well, congratulations, you guys, on the new album.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.